Welcome everybody back to a brand new episode of Kaiju Conversation. I am Elijah, your host, who is very desperately tired, joined by my editor and occasional co-host, Mr. Rex.
Hello.
So, if you guys have been staying tuned or have been listening to us for a while now, you probably are aware that our latest recording was our 1954 Godzilla recording, which ended at 5 o'clock. Well, we are about to beat that with this recording, which is starting at 5:39. So we're not even done yet, and we've already beaten it. I'm not going to make it through this recording. We'll see how this goes. I'm on my fourth bottle of water, and my one bowl of ice cream, and my few gummies. So, like, I'm as sugared up as I possibly should be, and cheesed up because I had quite a few grilled cheeses before I had to sit in front of a computer for about 7 hours. So, feeling great. How are you, Rex?
Doing good, minus the fact that we're recording this so late because of reasons.
Mm-hmm. You know, what time is it for you? It's got to be like, what, 8 o'clock?
Yeah, 8:40-ish.
How's that? How's recording at 8 o'clock at night?
I'll leave it at not preferred.
It must be nice though. Like you still
compared
can get,
to 5:30 a.m. Yes.
You must be enjoying your 11 hours of sleep, or however long you get.
I do not get 11 hours of sleep.
I don't.
I'm not as bad as you, but.
Yeah, I'm gonna get like maybe an hour, maybe. We'll see. Or I might just crash and like nothing's gonna wake me up and then I'm gonna miss everything. We'll find out and I'll well, I guess to get things started, what have you watched as of late? As I like to talk about what tokusatsu we've been looking into.
All right, so I've watched a little bit recently, mostly horror related. I watched Dark Water, House, Tokyo Gore Police, bunch of horror movies, and then as well as that, Valley of Gwanji and our episode's main topic as well, and some Ultraman here and there.
I gotcha. So you listed 3 horror-esque films. I want you to give me a list, like best to worst, out of those 3.
Ooh, best to worst out of those 3. Darkwater, House, and shoot, what was it? Oh, Tokyo Police. I guess I'll say House is best, then Darkwater, then Tokyo Gore Police.
Mm-hmm.
But I did enjoy all 3.
I see. That's I haven't seen Tokyo Gore Police yet. It's ordered
crazy to say the least.
I've seen some of the stuff Media Blasters has posted about it, and I'm of the same opinion. The very same opinion. I actually, speaking of Tokyo Gore Police, because I do want to get it, but I just recently it's been like 2 months now, ordered from a new boutique label specializing in Eastern films, Error 4444. I ordered the original film that Tokyo Gore Police was. It was a short film from the 90s. It's like Intomina and Extinction. I think that's how you pronounce it. It was a limited 1,000 copy run, and I think they sold out now.
Yeah, they did.
Now, like I was really excited because I ordered, like I was one of the last people to order it. But it's like, cool, they got all their orders in. I'll get my copy by the end of this week. That was a month ago. So I found out the printer or the distribution, like whoever pressed the discs, when they shipped back their last shipment, so probably the last 100, I'm guessing they did shipments of like 100 or something.
Mm-hmm.
The last shipments, all of them were crushed. Like all of the slipcovers were damaged, and so they have to get replacements. And it's like, it's taking them forever to get those. So I spent like $40, and now I gotta wait. Now it's not on error, admittedly. Like it's not on them. They're not the ones printing it, but they're still kind of it's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
That I ordered that and I'm still waiting because I can't, because it also comes with, I think, a few short films, like 1 or 2 more. So that's really exciting. And then when I do get Tokyo Gore Police, I'm going to get the old release that's got some more of the short films, which is really exciting.
Yeah. What films have you seen otherwise, though?
See, it's I could tell you if I was sitting in front of my wall of discs, but I'm not. They're like 45 minutes away. So I'm trying to think here. So I finished the One Missed Call trilogy. I watched One Missed Call 2, One Missed Call Final, and I watched the 2 short tie-in films to that. Trying to think here, what else did I watch? I finished Kikaida, the TV series, and I watched the 3D special for Kikaida. I started Kikaida 01. Let me think here. I've been buying a ton of Power Rangers, even though I'm not going to get to it yet. So I don't know. Like, I guess I'm just prepping for whenever I finish Ultraman.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm trying. I've got a semi-photographic memory, so I'm trying to think of my shelf and like picture it in my mind as if I'm looking through it right now to find some stuff I want to watch, and it's really hard. Have I brought up Legend of the Eight Samurai?
You have not.
Okay, I watched that one. It's an 80s movie from Katakawa. Really good, really good. I love that film. It's also got a really...
Isn't Sanada in it?
Yes, he is. It was one of his first roles. He has a baby face. It's awesome. It's got a great song too. It's I have it on Spotify. It translates to Legend of the Eight Samurai, but the lyrics are like, I don't want this night. It's like an 80s song. Like it's a slow 80s song. Like True by Spendu Ballet, but it's I don't want this night to end. And like I really love that song. That was a great film. I watched the MST3K version of Godzilla vs. Megalon. I just bought the DVD box set with that. And I mean, listen, I get like Nathan and Michael they like MST3K, I believe. But I didn't grow up on it, and I don't like riffing on stuff. So watching those is like torture for me. I can barely now. Admittedly, the Gamera films are a little hard to sit through in general, but I've only gotten through 2 episodes of the Gamera stuff, and there's 5 of them. Like, it is so hard to sit through that stuff because I don't want to hear people riff on the film. And like for Megalon's case, Like the whole final fight is literally them acting like it's a wrestling match. And it's like I've seen this 20,000 other times.
Yeah.
And like I don't really care at this point. Now, admittedly, it does have the definitive edition of the Jet Jaguar song. He jocket made of steel, eats sushi from a pail. Jet Jaguar? Jet Jaguar. His mother never really loved him. It's great. Please don't touch my bags, Mr. Customs Man. Yeah, I love that. I love that edition. Now, I will say they do good songs. It's like the Gamera one. You know.
Yeah, that's a classic.
Yeah, Gamera is really neat. Gamera is full of turtle meat. We love eating Gamera. Yeah, they do a good song and dance, but they do horrible riffs. It's not good. I hate it. That might be it. That might be.
Hey.
I don't know. Wait, no. I have seen other stuff. Oh, it was like Acquire Age, something like that. It's horrible. Whatever it is, it's garbage. Like, it's one of those movies where it's like the JoJo movie. It's like it builds up and builds up, and it's like establishing all of this stuff for this world, and like at the very end, they're ready to like show it all off, and then it comes out, and it's like credits, and you're like, wait, I didn't want to see that. I wanted to see whatever this big fight was gonna be, and that was it. I also watched the Takeshi Miike classic Yakuza Apocalypse. Highly recommend that. It's a fun film. Fun, very fun.
I'm going to be watching Blade of the Immortal on TV soon.
I love that film. That is a great movie. The opening was like Yojimbo, and like the entire film, like I thought it was great.
Good to hear.
Then again, I apparently have bad taste, but I digress. Speaking of bad taste, we've been on a last time we discussed a film, we discussed a movie that I absolutely despised, and it was a quickie sequel to a classic monster movie. It had about 9 months of production, essentially. And the same can be said for the film we're going to be discussing today.
Yeah.
So we'll see if I have more bad things to say about this film than good, like last time. And I guess I'll go ahead and say today we are discussing 1933's Jamboree, the working title of the film The Son of Kong. Not Son of Kong, The Son of Kong. Now, I'm just going to say this now. I didn't like the title sequence. So I can't pull that card out this time like I did for Raids Again. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started with how this film came to be. And kind of the production, and then we'll talk about its release, and then kind of our history, and then we'll wrap it up with our overall thoughts, and we'll get out of here at 7 a.m. Yay!
If we're lucky.
If we're lucky, we'll see. So,
please.
As established, we are talking the 1933 quickie sequel, The Son of Kong, directed by Ernest Schoedsack, starring Robert Armstrong, reprising his role as Carl Denham from the 1933 classic King Kong, also co-directed by Ernest Schoedsack and Marion C. Cooper. So, I think it's pretty obvious, Rex, like, this film is obviously a cash in.
Yeah, it's just a producer. Like, King Kong was a big hit. Let's make another to ride off that success as fast as we can.
Right. And I think it's very obvious in a lot of the how they rushed it, but we'll jump
Yeah.
into that. So like when it was coming out, like when they started making it, and I think this is one of my biggest gripes with the film overall is the screenwriter um did not want to make a serious film.
Yeah.
The screenwriter was like, you can't beat the original, so let's just make a comedy.
Yeah.
And that's so like
It,
I felt like it
I find
undermined
it
the ending,
odd,
I thought.
but apparent from what I could gather, this is like it's sort of like a philosophy of writing that's apparently from Broadway plays. I'm not familiar enough with Broadway plays to really know, but apparently
Mhm.
that's sort of where the idea comes from of that.
I see. Yeah, but like I wouldn't want to see a comedy of Little Shop of Horrors that's already kind of a comedy. Like I feel like it gets
I
too
don't know.
ridiculous.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily bad to add comedic elements in a sequel. That's fine. But coming off a great movie and just accepting defeat in a way, and just sort of going, okay, let's just go. I don't want to say lower brow, but I guess that's sort of what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I mean, throughout the whole production, like a lot of the people were just like, "Yeah, we're not going to be better. It is what it is."
Yeah,
And it's like that mentality just kind of ruined, I think, the potential of a sequel.
yeah,
Um, Especially when we get to Willis O'Brien's contributions to this film, and then we take into consideration what he did later on in life. Like nobody was putting forth effort in this. Well, they
yeah,
were putting forth effort, but like they were
yeah.
not putting forth the effort
Not
that
their A
was
game.
the
Not their
original.
A game.
Yeah, it was very much a B picture to the
Hmm.
A original.
Yeah.
And
Really, the only people who seem to be putting in their all is some of the actors, mainly Robert Armstrong.
right, and that was because Robert Armstrong loved the development that his character got in Son of Kong more so than the original,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is very interesting, I thought. And
Yeah.
but I think it also makes sense because I looked at the time. It's Robert Armstrong, his story for 40 minutes out of 69, essentially.
Yeah, that is true.
So the film is mostly a drama adventure than it is an adventure, straight up
Yeah.
just an adventure. It follows Robert Armstrong a lot, and
Yeah.
I really found that part interesting.
Yeah, we don't get to Skull Island or see any sort of monster until over the halfway point at about 40, 45 minutes ish.
Hmm. And considering like and actually I think this is a interesting film to bring up when addressing because there is a discussion going on right now about you know a monster movie without humans. And
Mm.
here's an example of a monster movie or a Kong movie, however you want to call it, where the humans take up literally the entire runtime and barely do you see a monster or creature on screen by itself.
Yeah. Yeah, even most of the sequences with the titular son of Kong, there's almost all the shots are of him with Robert Armstrong and the lead actress.
Right, right, and it's really weird, and I want to jump into this a little bit more later, but I find it
Yeah.
really interesting that this is the film that has been talked about being remade as of late after a certain GVK.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's interesting considering that aspect of the original. And we'll get into that towards the end of the episode, but that's really interesting to be
Yeah.
considered. I also was looking through this, and like the budget was a lot smaller than
Yeah. I
King
couldn't
Kong.
find any exact figures, but I did, from what I could gather, it was much smaller than the original King Kong, and
The
the
Go
box
ahead.
office itself wasn't as strong as King Kong's either, though it did
Hmm.
profit.
Hmm. The numbers I got were $269,000 for a budget. It made $616,000, so it had a
Yeah.
profit of 133. So
Yeah.
it didn't even do like 2 times better. It was like 1.25%
Yeah.
better than its budget. So not a huge hit. It was modest, you
Yeah.
know.
But not a
The
failure either.
Right, right. Even though it did, or we'll get into that. So it had a smaller budget, and due to the smaller budget, there was I was apparently there was a scene or a few scenes. There's supposed to be a ton of dinosaurs and even
Yeah.
tribal war, but
Yeah,
all
yeah,
of
yeah,
that
yeah.
got scrapped because they couldn't afford it.
Yeah, there was supposed to be a whole stampede that was going to link to the earthquake or cyclone that destroys Skull Island at the end of the movie. I think there
Hmm.
were going to be some more carnivorous dinosaurs, I believe, some theropods. Might be
Yeah.
wrong in that.
Yeah, and I know there was plans to use some models from O'Brien's creation in the
Mm,
film, and I think they even did one or two of
yeah. Well, the
the
thing is that to my understanding, some models from Creation were used in the original King Kong, and
Mhm.
some of those models were reused in Son of Kong
Right, and
or
even
repurposed.
the long face armature for King Kong that was
Yeah,
reused for
for Kiko.
Kiko, yeah, and of course they painted him white, which I do find it very interesting that they gave him a albino look
Hmm.
compared to his father.
I mean, it's a good. I like it that it makes him at least stand out compared to King Kong. So
Hmm.
like you can clearly tell the difference in between these two black and white films.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, and I think because the original King Kong was very tragic and kind of a sad character, whereas Kiko was more of a friendly, happy, comedic character, and I think
He's
it's a
almost
good.
like a pet in some scenes.
Yeah, yeah. Even though he's barely in it, like the son of
Yeah,
Kong is barely the son of Kong,
yeah.
which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it
It,
you know.
it's but it feels this movie feels like things just happen
Hmm.
without much flow or relation to one another. It's like we're on to just scene after scene of Carl Demnum or Hilda or the other characters, and then we go to Scholar. And those scenes sort of flow together, but I think once we're on Skull Island, it's kind of just things happening.
Right. Because and honestly, like at that point, I wonder if it was a scheduling problem. But like
I think it was budget. I think it was just they had to scale, or budget and time, just because they had to scale back on some of the more elaborate sequences like the Stampede.
I gotcha. But what I was going to get at was the characters, like Charlie, the captain, and Hellstrom, like disappear.
Yeah, that was something I noticed too, where it's like, uh, they have the brief scene with the Styracosaurus, and then they
Mhm.
disappear for almost the rest of the movie, up until the end.
Right, and it's really jarring because it's like, okay, wasn't the captain one of the people we were following on this journey?
Yeah, isn't Hellstrom meant to be like sort of bad guy in this movie?
Yeah, like there's no villain.
I mean,
Like
he kind of is the villain, and he gets like a villain's comeuppance at the end. But again, it's just kind of something that happens. He gets
yeah,
he just doesn't get focused on in the latter half of the film at all. Like he doesn't do anything at all in the latter half of the film, really.
right.
He
And
just gets killed.
like he doesn't show up until halfway through the film either.
Well,
And
no, he appears.
because there's a whole sequence in New York, and then there's the journey, and then there's Denim.
Yeah,
He doesn't show up until, I would argue, probably the 25-30 minute mark.
yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah.
So like you're already almost halfway through the film and your main villain's not there. Like it's so weird.
Yeah.
It makes
It's
me
odd.
yeah, the writer for it, I think it was the first draft. I honestly believe
It
I
does feel
think
like
they
a first
rushed.
draft, actually.
Yeah, like they had 9 months. 9 months after the original came out. So that's including promoting it and even starting production.
Yeah.
So like they had no time. And that
Yeah.
stop motion definitely took a month,
Mm. Oh,
so
probably longer.
I don't know because the quality of it, I feel like throughout
Yeah,
the film,
it's definitely taken a dip or a noticeable decline, but there are a couple scenes where it's not as good as the original, but it looks better than other scenes in the film. Like
right?
I'd say the cave bear fight is 1,000 times better than the the lizard thing, the Nothosaurus or whatever it was called.
Yeah, yeah. I would agree with that. But
Mm.
even like I think it was with the bear. Like there were some moments where the bear would just like move across the screen, like in
Yeah,
one frame, and
yeah. I noticed like a wire or something on Kiko that would disappear
mhm.
between certain frames.
But even then, like, and to kind of defend it, Willis O'Brien didn't actually do most of the stop motion for this film, even though he's credited,
Hmm.
because he quite often did not show up. And one of the other people, there's 3 people credited, one of the other 2 would do the stop motion. And eventually it got to the point where O'Brien requested to be removed from the film. Like he didn't want any credit for it, but he
Really?
still got top billing from what I
Damn.
could find.
Damn.
I mean, O'Brien hates this film. Like, so it was rushed and he had a love for King Kong.
Yeah.
So that hurt. And the reason he didn't show up was because Shodazak was very hands-on with special effects. So he couldn't do what he wanted to do. So he felt like he was being controlled. He felt like he was being rushed. And on top of that, during the production, Willis O'Brien's wife shot their 2 sons and tried to kill herself. And like, he never talked about this film. Like, it gave him PTSD.
Yeah.
Like, the man probably had a second Great Depression from this. Like, the amount of pain he went through is tremendous. Which Ray Harryhausen apparently like often asked O'Brien questions, but like it was too hard for him to remember because of all the pain he went through during it. But yeah, it just the stop motion and the monsters, you know, they're all right, but honestly,
it's watchable. But it's nowhere near as good as the original King Kong, or even I'd say Lost World is better.
I would agree. The film reeks of rushed.
Yeah.
And the stop motion department is where I think it suffers the most, even though I think the writing also is the other big problem. And even like everybody remembers the Triceratops in 33. They remember the Dilophosaurus in 33, the Maneater in 33, King Kong, of course. I forgot that there. Yeah, I forgot that there was. All I remembered was Kiko and the bear. Like I forgot that the others even existed.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I didn't really know because honestly, I had never seen this film before. It's one of a few King Kong movies I still had yet to see.
Interesting. But like, yeah, it wasn't much. It didn't pack the punch.
Yeah.
That it needed to.
Yeah.
And what's even in this is kind of to put on its a good thing. You know, I've been complaining for a while, trying to put something good here. Some of the match shots were so well done. One of them was actually reused for Citizen Kane, where some pteranodons are like flying over an island. I guess they reused some of that mat for Citizen Kane for one of the shots, which I found really interesting. Because there's another film that the King Kong duology of 33 that's like legendary upon in the cinephiles that reused King Kong stuff. The other would be the wall was reused for The Most Dangerous Game, I believe it was, from the original 33 film, which I found really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the original King Kong itself was a film that brought about that had to try out some new techniques to achieve what they wanted, with compositing, rear projection, and I don't remember what it's called, but the technique where they would project the clips of the actors behind the stop motion and do that frame by frame. There was some creative techniques used on the original King Kong, and they definitely repurposed some of those ideas for this film.
Right. But even then, a few of the sets, like there was one set where it was the lead female character and Robert Denham, and like they walk in, and it's like a corner shot, and you can see on the wall there's a little outline of probably what is a wall. And
yeah.
It's like they're just standing in front of a wall. Like it didn't look that good. and I think quite a few of the sets look pretty bad. I wouldn't be surprised if some were reused from King Kong, but quite a few of those definitely were made on the fly.
Yeah. Like most of the rest of the film.
Yeah. Speaking of on the fly, so one of the biggest things about the original King Kong was it was the first film to have a soundtrack that went with the film. Son of Kong kind of does it.
I mean, it has this. It has music, but
It wasn't matched.
Yeah, and it doesn't stand out as much as the music in the original King Kong either.
Right. It's very basic. Honestly, most of it sounded just like, oh, okay, cool. This sounds like it was taken from one of the B tracks of King Kong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, like, obviously, Kong's theme is memorable from the original. And then you've got, for me, when we see the native chief and he walks, how the music lined up perfectly with him walking. Like, that was a big thing because they had never done a matching up of the music to the shot, and I remembered that. This film didn't really do that. It kind of did it, but it was I don't know. It didn't feel the same.
Yeah, it's just it feels like it's there for the sake of being there because the original had it there.
Mm-hmm. And it's stuff like that where I feel like it was a poor attempt of redoing the original, and I think at the very end, like the way they kill Kiko is very like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it just happens. Like I think my big issue with most pretty much the entirety of Skull Island in this movie and anything that happens there is the fact that there's little to no build up for anything. It just happens. Like, oh, we meet Kiko. No build up or anything. Oh, there's a bear. Let's fight it. And then, like, even at the end when the what's his name, Hellstrom, goes on the boat. Oh, there's like a plesiosaur or something, and it kills him. And then the island just there's an earthquake,
and it just goes down.
Good thing they didn't show up like a day or two later.
Yeah, and even like the natives, like they were a huge component of the original, and we get like
just there for one scene.
Yeah, we get like 8 of them, and we get a return of the native leader, and they're like, oh, bye, we're gonna go around the island.
Go away.
Yeah, it's like, what? Like you're dodging every plot point that'll make you spend more than $100.
Yeah. God, even the Last Dinosaur knew how to have some sort of setup and payoff.
Yeah. I mean, The Last Dinosaur is on a whole nother level compared to this. Yeah. And one thing to since we're talking about the characters a bit here with the natives, it was cool to see the native island chief come back. But honestly, my favorite was Charlie.
Yeah.
I love Charlie. Like, he has a little charm that makes him my favorite character.
Yeah, he got a couple laughs out of me at a few points.
Yeah.
He wasn't the standout, but he definitely had his moments.
But what sucks is, so in the original, he was credited as Charlie. I think it was Charlie the chef.
Hmm.
But in this film, he's credited as Chinese cook.
Huh.
And, like, they say his name plenty of times. It's Charlie.
Hmm.
Why are you crediting him as Chinese cook? I hate that. I think that was
the thing is, like, some of the character, it's like, I thought the Captain Englehorn, I think his name was.
Yes.
I thought his name was Skipper at first. Now, granted, he's being called that because he's a skipper. But at first I thought, oh, that's just his name.
Yeah. But it's like, why, if you're gonna put credits, why not put their real names that is
And
in
then,
the film?
Hilda is never called Hilda in the film.
That's true. Denim only refers to him as kid. Or her. Yeah, her
and
kid.
her father calls her like Helen or something, I think. Something like that.
Maybe. And see, like, her father's death was really quick too.
Yeah, that's just another thing that happens. Like, I get its purpose is to establish Hellstrom as a villain, but that's such an inconsequential subplot in the movie.
Yeah.
The closest thing it gets to any sort of payoff is that he's thrown off the ship to Skull Island and he gets eaten by the plesiosaur at the end.
Yeah. There's not anything to give him. Like, it's very, very minimal.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just I don't think the characters, I'm surprised Robert Armstrong liked his character development, because, like, nobody else gets anything in that film.
Yeah. And I mean, really, a lot of, like, his, or at least the most interesting bit is him responding to the aftermath of the original King Kong.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, there isn't too much to it. There's a bit of a development between him and a relationship with Hilda, but there isn't too much outside of that. And well, I guess he is trying to redeem himself for being responsible for King Kong's death, but then Kiko dies.
Yeah, and like, what here's Robert. This is Carl Denham's redemption arc. After King Kong dies, he runs away from the law and everybody he's hurt to go and work on ships and leave his past life behind, only to end up on Skull Island again and steal the treasure that's on the island for himself.
Yeah.
And while leaving, he kills Kong's son and everybody else that's on that island, even though it wasn't him, it was an earthquake. But, people still die. Kiko dies, saving him.
All those natives are dead.
Yeah. Hellstrom dies, even though he deserved it. He still dies.
Mm.
And they go back, and he's presumably able to pay off all of his debts. And
yeah,
like, if that's a redemption arc, that is the most, like, backhanded redemption arc I have ever watched.
Yeah.
The man steals and hides and lies to get what he needs to get out of something. I guess that is like the entertainment industry, but, like,
yeah.
that it's not a good story. First draft people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would not. I would not put that as a good arc, but apparently it was good somehow.
Mm,
I will say he did have more like he acted more down to earth in it. I did notice that
yeah.
because like he's like it'll be up on lights in Broadway. King Kong, the eighth wonder of the world. And here he's like I killed King Kong. And
Yeah.
tons of people were, put through problems.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
I'll give him that. He was less of a showman and more of a
Yeah.
washed up entertainment.
Hmm.
Uh,
And he's at least memorable, I'd say, still.
right. Yeah, I mean, it's Robert Armstrong. His presence is the film.
Yeah, like the only other character who was slightly memorable was Hellstrom, but even then, his character is just so underbaked that I'll probably forget him in like a day or two.
Honestly, I'd put Charlie above all of them. Charlie and Carl Denham. But see, both of them were in the original too, so like they had two films to establish themselves, and the skipper. But he disappears. He kind of disappears in both films, to be honest.
I mean, Charlie disappeared with the skipper, to be fair, in this one.
Yeah, but Charlie had some funny stuff. No, I don't want to be on the boat. I don't like them.
And then that laugh he gives at a couple points.
Yeah. Obviously, the film's a little dated. To be fair.
Yeah.
But it's not. I don't think the respect is given as much as in the original, but I don't think there's anything too horribly bad in this one.
Yeah.
So we've kind of I think there's not a lot about this film known. Like I couldn't find
Yeah, I struggled to find much. I did read a little bit about like an unmade third film that was an idea that they had to sort of have like a film that would have been in between events of the original King Kong, like in between transporting him to New York.
Mm-hmm. What was that going to be?
Apparently, it was going to. I'm not quite sure of all the details, but apparently there was going to be some sort of adventure to. And I think it was another island. I don't know if it was still on. If it might have been them trying to get him onto the boat, or they had to take a detour to another island. But I know there were dinosaurs in it, and there was going to be some cool fights, I guess, presumably.
I see.
But otherwise, I couldn't find too much else on that either.
Interesting. But the only other thing I've got is once the film came out, as we established at the beginning of the episode, it did well, but like it received very mixed reviews. People did not care for it a whole lot. It was very kind of like middle of the road when it came to its overall like reception, and I think that was from both the critical and audience side.
I mean, really, it comes off like one of the most well-known movies in pop culture. A film that I'd argue is one of the most important in just establishing pop culture in general. And yet, you never hear anyone talk of it, really.
Right.
there
and
isn't much of a legacy to it at all.
right, and actually that segues perfectly into the next part I was going to bring up. I talked to a few people before doing this episode, and a lot of people didn't even know Son of Kong existed.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah, I
this,
mean, I only discovered it was a film like maybe 2, 3 years ago. But
Mhm.
like I was made aware of the Ho films and the both Dino De Laurentiis films long before Son of Kong.
Right. Yeah, there is like not like the releases of this film are very bare bone. Like they're not putting forth a ton of effort
Yeah,
to put this film out. Nobody's really recognized it for anything.
and
Um,
no one's really put much of an effort in to sort of learn and to sort of find out and publicize things about the making of the film, really.
right.
And I mean,
This
to be
is
fair, I guess that really most of what you could say on how Son of Kong was made would probably, at least in terms of the special effects, be kind of repeating what you could say on the original King Kong, I guess,
sure,
just on a lesser scale.
sure. But even then, like, and this is I'm gonna recall back to my reference to Godzilla raids again. That film also suffers from a lack of scholarly
True,
writing, and
true.
I find it very interesting that both of these quickie
So, I mean,
sequels.
the thing is, at least in Raid Again's case, there are a lot of that. It's more of an issue with the Western
Sure,
fandom,
sure,
whereas there are Japanese special effects books that do presumably go into more detail.
sure. But even then, it's still like it's very interesting that both of these films have a lesser, and
Yeah.
they're very much viewed lesser than the original
Mm.
counterpart.
Yeah, and they kind of have a lot of parallels, if you will, sort of like the 9 month production being considerable step downs, repeating certain things, etc., etc.
Right,
Having like one or two returning characters, but the rest of the cast being completely original, etc.
right. Yeah, it's very interesting, and the legacy of Son of Kong has been very minimal.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it's
God, at least Raids Again gets the credit of being the first Godzilla movie with a fight.
right. Son of nothing for the Kong brand. It established nothing. Warner didn't do another monkey film until 1949's Mighty Joe Young.
Yeah.
Like it did nothing for the film.
Mm.
When Laserdisc and VHS came around, like King Kong 33 had a colorization. It had a Criterion Laserdisc. It had tons of stuff. Son of Kong was left to rot.
Does Son of Kong even have a Blu-ray?
Yes, Son of Kong has a
Okay.
Blu-ray,
Okay,
um,
good.
but it's just an HD showing of the remaster they did during the time around when they did King Kong.
Yeah.
And all it has on it is the trailer, which I might add, the trailer spoils everything. Like it shows the earthquake, it shows
Yeah, but a that's just kind of how a lot of older movie trailers are.
sure, but like you could watch the 2-minute trailer and you get everything from the film that
Yeah.
people talk about, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Probably more than they talk about.
Possibly. But yeah, it's barely feature length. Like it's 69 minutes. That's
Yeah.
65 is feature length, if I remember correctly. So like
I thought
it's
it was 120. It was. Yeah.
most films aren't 100, not even 2
Oh wait,
hours.
no, sorry. I meant 80 minutes. 80 minutes is what I meant.
I mean, maybe. I'm not sure. But
Because 80
like, yeah,
minutes was a number I always heard.
I see. Yeah, it's bare minimum. The film's bare minimum, and even in its legacy, like people. So if you know Kong and you have done some homework, you know of its existence. But if you don't, you're not going to know what it is.
Yeah.
Um, uh,
You have to go out of your way to sort of find this film, really.
right. So speaking of that, I always like talking about our history with this film. I think you pretty much said it earlier, but do you have any history with this film?
No, honestly, I knew it exists. I found out it existed a couple years ago. I don't remember how or where. I just one day I didn't know. And then sometime later, oh yeah, there's this movie called Son of Kong. It's the
I
sequel to King Kong.
I see.
The,
Yeah,
the
mine.
monkey is white, and that's all I know about it.
The monkey is white. That's a sentence. Yeah, my history is pretty much like I did a little research on King Kong and I found out it existed, and then I found a DVD on Amazon and I bought it, and I still have that DVD. And recently I got a Blu-ray because I bought a person's collection and that was included in it. And that's pretty much like I haven't watched the film in years. When for this episode, like this was the first time I revisited it.
Yeah.
Uh, Now, like there were moments like the old guy that says rags, bones. Like I remember that guy, but I didn't remember anything else about the film really.
Yeah.
Or like rotten captain. I remember that. Uh, but like yeah, it was I. Besides the drunk people, I didn't remember much about this film. So yeah, my history's bare minimum. I don't really talk about this film. I don't care about this film that too.
Yeah.
And that's the same for pretty much everywhere else. After King Kong '05 came out, there people are like, is he going to do a sequel? Which King Kong '05 was one of the most expensive films of the 2000s.
Yeah. And I mean, apparently they did do like an April Fool's Day prank where they
Yes, he
said
he
they were going to make a Son of Kong remake.
yeah. So they made the logo, and like Peter Jackson took a photo of what was supposed to be like the script in like 2007 or 8, and it was like, hey, we're doing this, and it was a joke. It was 100% a joke.
Yeah.
But I mean, we later found out that there was development on a King Kong sequel,
Yeah.
which
With
eventually,
a certain individual.
yeah, and then that film got canned, and then Warner Brothers got Jordan Vogue Roberts to do a public domain King Kong film with Kong. And then that got a sequel called Godzilla versus Kong, and
Unfortunately.
and then after that there was a rumor from the Hollywood Reporter of Adam Wingard coming back to do a Kong sequel called Son of Kong, even though
Yeah.
he's busy for like the next 5 years, and people are gonna
And
ignore
and
that
again, it's just a
rumor.
rumor, something, an idea that's been thrown around. Like even if the MonsterVerse does continue, it's no real guarantee that it'll go in that direction.
Right. And this was a good point a friend of mine pointed out. Why would Warner Brothers do a film titled Son of Kong. That's a remake of the original Son of Kong. Even though the original did not do well financially, did not do well critically, was made into a April Fool's joke for a sequel to Peter Jackson's King Kong, which is as famous, I would argue, as the original at this point.
Yeah.
And the sequel to that film got canned for a reboot. Like, the tides are against a Son of Kong remake. Why
Yeah.
would Warner do that? There's nothing suggesting that it'd be a good idea.
Like, the only reason I can see would be, like, from a story perspective, I can understand why you'd have Kong, given how, like, they constantly mentioned how his family's dead and how he's looking for a family and all that, and how G is his only family. It would make sense to take that in the direction of giving him a son from like a writing point of view. But from an investment point of view, it doesn't really make sense, given, Son of Kong is not a well-remembered film at all.
And plus, if they don't drown him at the end of the film, like, what's the point? You gotta drown him. I joke, but yeah, it's just
maybe
I don't think the film. I don't think a Son of Kong is a good idea after all these years.
Yeah.
Which that I feel like we ran through that very well, but we've been recording now for about an hour.
Oof.
So I guess we'll go ahead and start to wrap up here with our.
Just like the movie, this episode is barely feature length.
Yeah, my goal. So my goal was to have it under the runtime of the film, because we barely go over the runtime of films.
Yeah.
So I'm like, can we do 65 minutes? And we're almost there. We're almost there. So
yeah,
let's go ahead and wrap things up here with our overall thoughts. There's been a ton of complaints, so if you want to go ahead and give your overall thoughts and a 5 out of 5 star rating, that would be lovely.
So my thoughts on Son of Kong is that it is a very messy and rushed film that isn't egregiously awful. It's mercifully short. It is the 69-minute runtime is mercifully short, and I can see myself watching it in the future, but I don't see myself actively caring to that much.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd give it like 1.5 or 2 out of 5, really.
Yeah. It's a first draft film. That, plain and simple, it's a first draft film. It's rushed, it's lacking, it's pretty much everything a King Kong movie should not be. It's very poor in its overall presentation. The best part is Carl Denham, because he was an interesting character. I think in all adaptations, Carl Denham is an interesting character.
Yeah.
Because he's almost a satire on the entertainment industry that, is making him.
Yeah.
And like that's the coolest part. I don't really have the stop motion's mediocre.
And I do like that as well. I'll just interject that I do like that we get to see how he is responding to the ending of King Kong. It's not great, but it is nice to see it at least.
Yeah. But it's not anything special, I think.
Yeah.
Overall, like the film in general. So honestly, I'd give it 1 out of 5. Like it's nothing special. Um, and I just remembered I wanted to touch on this, so I'm gonna try and make it quick. We'll see. So I brought up at the beginning that this film is mainly human characters. Barely do we have any moments where the monsters are by themselves. Well, director Adam Wingard of Godzilla vs. Kong said he wanted to do one mainly, if not entirely, with, monsters, barely humans. And he is in the rumored running for the rumored Son of Kong remake from Warner.
Hmm.
And it would be it would be definitely interesting. I'd be interested in seeing what Wingard would do. But if he did that, it'd be flipping Son of Kong on its head, essentially, the original. You know,
Yeah.
based on human characters now based on the Son of Kong. I would that would be a very interesting contrast that I don't know if
Yeah.
I'm entirely down for.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just I'm not for this idea of let's just make these movies all about the monsters, you know. I'm
Right.
I'm not all for that idea. I think a lot of my because I enjoy quite a bit of horror movies. A lot of my favorite horror movies are the ones where the villain is memorable because they're not seen often, like Alien. The alien's only in that movie for 3 minutes, and that is one of my favorite movies of all time. You know,
Mhm. Mhm.
Matango, for a Toho example, that the mushroom people in that are barely in it at all,
Right.
but they're very memorable.
Right. This I don't want to cut you off, but this would be a great discussion for like next month's roundtable, like kaiju for or against only films. That'd be an
Yeah,
interesting discussion to have.
yeah.
Um, we're also like 2 minutes away, I think, 2 or 3 minutes away from that 70 minutes. So I want to. I'm
We'll
trying.
see if it stays like that in the editing.
Yeah, we'll see. It's very quick and snappy. There's a few minutes maybe trimmed, but
Yeah.
very little. So Rex, if you want to go ahead and link yourself and promote yourself and let people know where they can find you.
All right. Well, I am Xeno. I have a YouTube channel that is Xeno at about 800 or so subscribers somehow. I don't upload often, but occasionally, every once in a while. I have a Twitter, at Rex underscore Xenomorph, Instagram, Rex underscore Xeno. I have a blog site, thatkaijublog.wordpress.com, where I did an interview with Alan Maxon at the start of the year. And I've recently become a staff writer for the Tokusatsu network. So you can sort of, it's mostly just reporting some news, but I did write an article about the history of Eiji Tsuburaya recently. So if you're interested in that, feel free to check that out.
Awesome. And I'm Elijah, the host of Kaiju Conversation. I have a YouTube channel at ET13 Productions. I don't upload very often, if at all, but I'm hoping to eventually change that, though soon. Work will be having me really work heavy in our marketing, so I'm probably not going to be doing anything for a few months as I gotta prep for that and do that production. Also have a Twitter at ET13 Productions or at E as in Elephant Thomas 1975. If you want to hear what is in the mind of a very sleep deprived individual. I also have a Instagram at ET13 Productions where I typically used to post kaiju figure photography, but due to my phone really being garbage, I can't really take good photos anymore. So I need to get a new phone to properly do that. But if you want to check this out, I would greatly appreciate it, and eventually I'll be doing more stuff. But as for the podcast, recently we did receive some 1-star reviews without any context, so I can only guess some people are a little upset with us. But if you guys could leave us a 5-star review, that would be awesome. It boosts our ratings and helps us get recommended to more people just like you. Actually, let me grab it. We do have a 5-star review that recently came in. This is very unprofessional. I should have had this ready, but I will pull it up right now as I get emails when this happens. So we have a 5-star review. Let me see. Here we go. So the title is Amazing Podcast for Kaiju Fans. 5 stars. Each episode is extremely informative and fun to listen to. This comes from Mike the Wrestler via Apple Podcasts. So thank you, Mike, for your 5-star review. We greatly appreciate it, and it's awesome to hear that we are fun to listen to, as most of the time, due to some people, we record very late, and it's really hard to.
What?
I'm not pointing fingers. I swear. I swear, not pointing fingers.
I feel like I'm being targeted here.
You're the one that just said I didn't say anything. You're the one telling the viewers that you make me stay up very late. But if you're still listening and you don't have an Apple device, I don't blame you, I don't. You can tweet us and follow us on Twitter at KAIJU_CONVERS. If you don't have either of those, you can like us on Facebook or follow us on Instagram and leave a review that way. If you're like me before podcasting, you don't have any social media, kind of lucky you, you can email us at kaijuconversation@gmail.com. All lowercase, all one word, you know the drill. And as always, we'll read your reviews like Mike's review for everybody to hear, as we greatly appreciate those 5-star reviews. We also have merchandise on Teespring if you'd like to wear our beautiful logo in all of its kaiju glory. Eventually we'll have some other art, but none planned as of currently. If you'd like to chat with me or Rex one-on-one, or hear our opinions on different subjects, or other people just like you, join our Discord server. Plenty of discussion, a bit not at 7 a.m., as most people are probably sleeping. Lucky them. But you know what? Still a lot of fun. A lot of fun voice calls, a lot of fun discussions.
Yeah.
And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you can be notified anytime we upload. We do have a monthly episode that is exclusive to YouTube. We have this month our Toku Fandom Tales, which is a 10-minute interview with somebody from our Discord server where they get to express their love for kaiju and show off how everybody is in this diverse community. And then next month, so it's a pattern every other month, next month we have a Kaiju Roundtable discussion where we have topics and we have 4 people on to discuss them. And again, that's from our Discord server, so if you want to get in those, it's a great opportunity. A huge thanks to Rex for editing these episodes. It is greatly appreciated, and all of his links can be found in the description below in a Linktree, as can mine and the podcasts. So thank you, Rex, even though you ruined my sleep for tonight, or this morning, this day. There's sunlight.
What can I say except you're welcome?
Yeah. Very funny, very funny. And with that, we'll go ahead and wrap things up here. So thank you guys so much for listening, and please remember, life's too short to not talk big. Bye, guys.
Bye.